Welcome to Pickle Lane. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin. And apparently, we have a lot to say.
I lived with chronic illness for years and then finally healed using a technology called bioenergetics.
Through that experience, we co-founded a holistic wellness brand called Rudy.
We've learned a lot, to say the least, and we want to share it with you.
We'll explore mindfulness, wellness, and spirituality.
Topics ranging from pooping out parasites to breathwork and even traveling to parallel universes.
We spent a lot of years not living authentic to ourselves.
So our hope for Pickle Lane is to help you find your freedom and pick your own lane in life.
Tune in to a new episode of the Pickle Lane podcast every Friday on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And subscribe and review if you haven't already.
We hope the show resonates and we can't wait to connect.
Welcome to Pickle Lane.
Hi, everybody.
What it do, baby boo?
How's it going?
You know, it's going well. Yeah.
Did you microdose today?
I sure did. I'm on an on day.
You just
Life
feel a little
is
ethereal
grand.
and fuzzy over there.
Man, I can't wait to have an episode all about microdosing because it is changing my life. Yeah, my on days are noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it. Not in like a trippy way. Just I'm really grounded. I feel source all the time. It's wild. Tingles, chills, thoughts. It is weird in a good way.
Yeah.
And then, I'm 1 day on, 2 days off. My second day after, I'm so productive. It's crazy.
That's awesome. I wish I could do it.
But alas.
One day I will. But, you know, when I'm working in a hospital setting, it's probably frowned upon to take illegal substances.
Sure.
I'll refrain for now.
It's legal somewhere.
True.
But I feel really good on it.
Yeah.
I am not that far into it, but I definitely can already see positive impacts from it.
I'm happy
But yeah,
for
on my
you.
on days, I feel fairly zen, grounded, centered, having really deep thoughts, nothing surfacey. I stare at the trees sometimes. It's weird.
Welcome to my world.
Okay. Yeah, you don't need microdosing. You are microdosing.
Man.
What's lighting you up?
What's lighting me up? Doza, you can't, baby.
Hey,
You gotta be quiet.
you need to sit there and be quiet.
Or you can go play upstairs if you want. We're only gonna be 5 minutes.
Or just play right in the other room.
Okay. Set those on the ground. No big deal. There
Ain't
we
no
go.
thing but a chicken wing.
I'll be out in just a minute, okay? Close it all the way. Love ya.
What's lighting you up?
Try again, because the door was closed.
What's lighting you up?
I was finishing my sentence.
What's lighting you up? What the fuck is lighting you up? I'm going to just leave that whole strand in.
Honestly, what's lighting me up today is the conversation that you guys are about to hear, because I've been listening to it today and just can't get over how powerful it was. We always try to earmark like where good reels would be, and normally I get like maybe 5, 7, maybe 10 on a really good episode.
Aaron sent me like 36.
I know. I kept sending you clips because it's just such a good conversation.
It's juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all were really aligned. It helped. We did Hape before. What's
True.
Hape, Aaron?
Hape is a tobacco powder mixed with, I think, tree bark. Hape is... Wow, we're really struggling. Okay. What was the question?
What's Hape?
Hape?
What's Hape?
Oh my gosh. Are we ever going to get through this?
Oh, it was great, though. You can't even lie. You have really deep thoughts.
Yeah. You're really in touch with source over there.
Yep.
Okay. Hape is a tobacco powder. It's mixed with tree bark sometimes, I think herbs sometimes. Anastasia taught us that there's as many varieties of Hape out there as there are like wines in the world.
Yeah.
And each one kind of has like a different spirit to it.
It was awesome.
It was
I
great.
enjoyed it.
Yep.
For Aaron, it brings you into yourself real fast.
Yeah.
For me, it just woke me to fuck up.
Yeah.
It was great. What a way to go into a podcast.
Yeah. It
But
kind
do
of
Hape.
burns going in.
It goes up your nose. You don't snort it, but it goes up your nose.
Yes.
And yeah, it just burns, opens the sinuses, wakes you up,
Pow.
forces you
It's
to be in the
powerful.
here and now.
Mhm.
And then we went into a podcast. And Anastasia's a baller.
I know. I'm so excited to share
Yeah.
her with you guys.
We were very connected, like all three of us.
Yeah. So Anastasia, I met because of Kambo. I was searching for Kambo practitioners, and she was like one of the only ones in Columbus.
I'd imagine too, anybody that supports you while you're puking your brains out, you're going to be pretty close with them after.
Totally. Yeah.
So,
there's a connection.
what a win.
Yeah. But she is kind of like a modern medicine woman. I don't know, like a shamanic practitioner sort of a person, and she
just awesome.
I know, she's wonderful. She works with Kambo. She does take people through like microdose and psilocybin, how to like integrate those modalities and those practices, your experiences with those things into your life. She also does like spiritual and kind of life coaching. And she is, which this is kind of her first gig in the wellness world, she's been a licensed massage therapist for like a decade. But yeah, she started working with plant medicine. She'll tell you guys the story. But as you will see here shortly, she's just a really special person and we're excited to share her.
Yeah, she's incredible. I was thankful to finally get to know her because I've only gotten to know her via you and Laura.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great to connect and just kind of get my own version of her awesomeness.
Yeah, I think we will be lifelong friends is what it feels like.
Yeah, soul family for life. Here we are.
Here we are.
Gotcha.
Damn it.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Enjoy.
Okay, I want to hear how you found plant medicine and amphibian medicine and all the medicines. Like, what led you to this kind of life that you're in now?
So it was 2020 and we were in the midst of COVID. I was not having a good time in life. Things were pretty challenging. The year had already gotten off to a really rocky start in a lot of ways. And up until this point, you know, I had had quite a big amount of trauma in my life. And I had been in therapy for years, done breath work, been on medications, had tried all the things, and nothing was really breaking me through to where I knew I wanted to be. It was shortly after COVID had started, and I was dealing with some really serious depression and suicidal ideation. And I had heard about how psilocybin could really help with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So I found a psilocybin healing retreat in Mexico. I went. I had never worked with psychedelics up until this point. I was terrified of them all through high school and college. Wasn't terrified of anything else. You know, I was.
That's where you drew the line.
I was, yeah,
yet.
pretty much. I was like, you know, I'll do all these other like very dangerous things, but psychedelics, like we're not going there. And so I went, and yeah, it changed my life. It opened my eyes. It opened my heart. I felt like I was understanding the things that had happened to me in a new way. And, you know, I had worked with astrologers and energy healers and all these people that helped me understand why the things in my life happened the way that it did. But that trauma was still living so deep in my body and just was not moving. And so psilocybin really opened the door for me. And it was great. I came home and I fell apart. And I was like, oh shit.
Opened Pandora's box.
I made a huge mistake. Like I was like, am I having like a psychotic break? Because I feel way worse now.
Oh,
and so
was it high doses of psilocybin at the retreat?
Higher. I mean, I don't think I did what would be considered like a hero's dose, probably just below that.
Okay.
And so I was trying to find an integration coach because I even though I had a great therapist, I was like, I need somebody that knows medicine work and can help me with this. And so I found somebody that was in upstate New York who happened to serve ayahuasca.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
And decided to go sit in a ceremony. I was supposed to be there for 4 days. I ended up staying for 2 weeks because the person I was sitting next to in the last night of ceremony, we had found out that he had COVID. And so I didn't come back. I was living in Columbus at the time. And I didn't come back because I couldn't see massage clients or do anything. So I was like, I'm just going to stay here and help out. And so I did that and ended up moving there 6 weeks later. And I worked in the kitchen on the weeks that I wouldn't sit with the medicine, cooking for the groups, and then doing body work for clients.
Wow.
So I lived there for 8 months. I drank a lot of medicine in 8 months, more than most probably do, more than I would say that I would recommend to most people. In hindsight, I wish I would have been able to take more time to integrate, but the medicine knows what the medicine knows, and it all works as it's supposed to. And so from there, I ended up going down to the jungle in Peru.
Sweet.
And sitting in a 4-week retreat, doing some deeper work with the plants. And yeah, it's just all unfolded from there.
So good.
holy shit, I have like 60,000 questions.
Yeah, I
off
ask
of that.
away. I'm
Same,
like,
that's why I'm pausing.
and like, so to come back to Kambo, like where Kambo actually fits into all of this, after I had done the psilocybin journey, I did get connected with a woman that was in Washington, and I was supposed to go see her for Kambo and Bufo. And then I had gone to New York for this ceremony, decided to not go see her. I came back to Columbus, and I knew somebody that knew someone that served Kambo here. And because I had just been exposed to COVID, I was like, I want to sit with Kambo because I hear it can be really good for the immune system. And at the time, I didn't know much more about Kambo than that. Like the woman I had talked to in Washington had said, like, you know, it's really good for your heart.
Yeah.
It's really good for trauma work, those kinds of things. And I came back and signed myself up for an inoculation, which is sitting with Kambo 3 times in a 28-day period.
Okay.
I had sat in this ayahuasca ceremony. It did not purge. Like I did not physically purge during my ayahuasca ceremony. So I was like, Kambo will start moving things along.
Yeah.
And the long and short of it was like, it was awful. Like it was from the moment the medicine came on, I wanted it to stop. It was so difficult. And I think part of what made it so difficult is because it's not psychedelic. Like it doesn't take you anywhere. It takes you further into your body.
Yeah.
And when you have been disconnected from your body most of your life, that is not a fun place to be. And I struggled a lot. Like I couldn't purge. It was just like I was in this like space of resistance the whole time. And I did 2 back-to-back days. And then I went back for my 3rd one a week later just because of how it worked with our schedules. And after that 3rd one, I will say I still have a video recording on my phone. And like you can see my face is like all swollen. And I'm just talking about like how connected I feel to my heart, how open I feel, how clear I feel, how ready I feel for this next chapter. But I was still at a place with it where I was like, I would not recommend Kambo to anybody. Like, I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think that that's what we need to do. I was like, I guess if people like have things like Lyme or these other heavy things, it's good to work with. And I didn't work with Kambo again for probably almost 2 years until I ended up back here in Columbus and started just feeling the pull to sit again. And this time it was more like really wanting a deep energetic clearing. And so I restarted my path with Kambo. I started sitting more. I started sitting with less medicine, which was so beneficial. Like to see that it could work so well and not have to be so hard. I started sitting with it almost before every ayahuasca ceremony that I would sit in, just because it can help clear the energy. And there is something about the way that the peptides in Kambo work where you're essentially making the blood-brain barrier like a little bit easier to access. And then I was like, it's time for me to go to learn how to serve this medicine. Like this is going to help so many people. And because it's legal, it's accessible. And I ended up going to Creed, Colorado and working with my amazing teacher, Jason. He runs a school called Tribal Detox. Went and got trained and transformed my life.
Wow.
And here we are.
That's crazy. How did your experiences in ayahuasca change when you started doing Kambo before?
It's hard to say because I don't think it was the Kambo that changed the experiences with ayahuasca, to be honest, because the medicine and all of these medicines are going to be so different every time. But the one thing that I will say is time and time again, you learn how to sit with discomfort in a different way.
Totally.
And you recognize the places where the more you resist, the harder it gets.
Yeah, that's so true.
And that's been made so clear to me in Kambo and ayahuasca. And part of the integration process is learning how to apply that to my actual life of how do I sit in the discomfort and how do I not resist it? Because I know I'm good at that now with ayahuasca and Kambo. But we work with these medicines, or I work with these medicines so that the rest of my life is better.
Exactly. What's the point? We're not doing this for any sort of clout or anything. It's like we're using these things to better ourselves, to show up better in the world and in our own lives. I love the concept when you said this during our inoculation, this concept of minimal effective dose. And it's like this paradox of, yes, it's teaching us to sit with discomfort because sometimes it's unavoidable, right? Like sometimes universe life throws things in our path, or maybe we call it unknowingly, that require us to sit with discomfort. But also knowing that like this minimal effective dose, we can also have a euphoric experience with these medicines, with Kambo, with ayahuasca. You know, we don't have to learn through suffering. We talk a lot about that on this podcast, but that was definitely my third session. I remember asking you, like, it doesn't feel hard. Do I take another point? And you're like, it doesn't have to be hard to be working. Like I was shaking.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because there are a lot of schools of thought or practitioners that with Kambo, they're trying to push the purge. And when they think the more medicine, the better. Like it's very rare that I will serve somebody more than 5 points of medicine. Like it's enough. And it's a respect for the medicine too.
Yeah.
It's not about the physical purge. Like there are peptides in Kambo that cause different reactions in the body that sometimes will make that happen. But it's not, Kambo's not a cleanse. Kambo's not a detox. You don't need to purge to get the benefits. You're getting the benefits from the peptides going into the body. And there has just been this myth around it that like it's not working unless you're purging. And then there's practitioners that just, they're throwing 7 points of medicine and they're putting them on your spine and they're putting them in your ears, and you've never sat before and you don't know what's going on. And I'm so thankful that I got to learn from Jason because he taught me how easy Kambo could be and how beautiful it could be and how clear you can feel mind, body, and spirit with a very small amount of medicine and sometimes without purging.
Yeah. The 1 point for me was enough to get things.
Yeah, I know. That was wild to watch. I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Can we talk about the peptides? Because I have so many questions. First of all, for people listening, they're probably like, what even are peptides? I don't know. So what is Kambo physically doing?
So Kambo's physically doing a lot of different things. I would recommend to all the listeners to listen to my teacher, Jason. There's a podcast that he was on. He's the Kambo king. He's going to be able to explain Kambo and do way more justice to it than I can, but I'm happy to share my understanding of it.
Let's go.
There are right now over 40 different peptides that are being studied by the pharmaceutical company to be synthesized. You can go and get things like peptide injections now, but Kambo is like the original peptide whole body reset. You know, essentially what peptides are these signaling molecules that tell the other cells in our body what to do. As we age, as we go through different kinds of traumas and illnesses, these cells and neurons, they forget how to function optimally. So Kambo comes in and there's hundreds of different peptides in it that all aid in different things for the body. So, you know, it's helping like with things in the digestive tract, it's strengthening your detox pathways. It is great for pain management. There are peptides that help with things like depression and PTSD. You're basically just getting a whole body reset. That's what Kambo is doing. It's going in, reminding the body how to work at its optimal functioning and giving you the reset that you need. And Jason said people will say that they feel superhuman after Kambo. And it's not that they feel superhuman, it's that they feel human. There's the science piece of Kambo and what all of the different peptides do and how it's reacting in the body. The other big myth is that it's a poison, and it's not. We can look at so many different things as a poison, right? You drink too much alcohol, it's a poison. You take too many psilocybin mushrooms, like you're probably going to throw up. And
your Lucky Charms you eat every morning.
Exactly. And there's a part of our brain that reacts to having a foreign substance in that's, oh, I better throw up in order to get this out to keep myself safe. But a lot of what the purge even comes from is you're coming in fasted and then you're drinking water. If any of us fasted for 12 hours and then drank a liter of water and stuck our finger down our throat, we would likely be purging bile. And I think that's why people too can think it's like a detox or a cleanse, that it's detoxing the liver, that it's cleansing the body. Our body already knows how to cleanse and detox. This is helping pull up the stuff that is still stuck in there, but it's strengthening the detox pathways that are already there. And so that's a big scientific piece of it. But then there's the whole spiritual side of what Kambo does. And it's so individual. And that's why each practitioner you sit with is going to have a different relationship with the medicine. And as you sit, you're going to build a different relationship with the medicine. Some people, it is just going to be more like, I'm coming in for like the supplement effect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have clients that I just put on a playlist and I let them sit. My job as a Kambo practitioner is to keep you safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is to watch you, to make sure you don't pass out, you know,
Mhm.
if you do, to get the medicine off of you, get you to
Yeah.
the bathroom, those kinds of things. And then there are people that have a deeper spiritual path with this medicine, and it brings to them all of these different realizations of things that they may have avoided in the past or where they have disconnected from themselves. And we're just being strengthened by this medicine in so many ways that are so far beyond what we could ever understand.
Yeah.
It has its own intelligence. It was so clear to me when Laura and I sat together and how vastly different our experiences were, but it was the same medicine. And it was like so clear to me that this stuff has an intelligence, like some
Yeah.
innate knowledge that
Yeah.
is beyond. I mean, you think how just like evolutionarily, like these things have been around millennia, you know, longer than our frontal cortexes
Right.
have been here.
Right.
So we think we're the most complex, smart beings out there, but these medicine, I mean, psilocybin's the same. It's like
Yeah.
they have intelligence.
Yeah. And the thing is with these medicines, and especially even like Kambo, is going to meet you where you're at. And that's why, you know, yes, there is a long list of contraindications for people that can't sit, but aside from those contraindications, most people can benefit from Kambo,
Yeah.
you know, and like somebody that is recovering from cancer or dealing with Lyme or MS or like some other like really serious medical issues, they're going to sit with it differently than a person that might not have those kinds of health issues. Like I've never had the same experience twice. And
Wow,
I've
that's
never
interesting.
seen anybody have the same experience twice.
That's interesting.
It knows exactly
It
where
knows
it needs to
knows
go.
where to go. Yeah.
I obviously am a like spiritual minded person. So like I'm into that stuff. And so I went to Kambo really with more of that intention. But I think I told you this. So it was maybe after the first sit, I think. Kelsey, Laura's wife, talked me into going to an Orange Theory class with her, which I've never been to before. And I'm like, we stay active, but I'm not like an exercise fiend. Like I don't, but I felt like a fucking warrior.
Yeah.
Like I was on the treadmill looking at the people next to me like, oh, like
It's
just
amazing.
otherworldly. Yeah. So definitely I felt the physical benefits.
It's a warrior medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, I know builders take peptides. It's like the new steroid.
Yeah.
And even I was just listening to a podcast specifically about 2 or 3 different peptides that people are taking right now, talking about how like world records are going to be broken in the next Olympics because all these athletes are taking peptides.
Wow.
And it's giving them the same benefits as what steroids would. There is, and how many peptides are in this? It's hundreds, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
more than we even have names for, right?
Right.
Yeah, I would assume so. I don't think they've been able to identify every single one that's in there, but there are many that they have.
Guaranteed that the peptides that these athletes are taking are in the secretion of
absolutely.
these frogs.
Yeah.
There were a couple things about the frogs itself that people were curious about.
Okay.
Even a couple activists were concerned about the frogs.
Sure.
I did a little bit of research, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
So it's a frog, not a toad.
Great.
But a big frog, tree frog.
Yes.
And it's in the rainforest.
Yes.
And tribes, how they harvest it, they sing and the frogs come.
It's something like that. They go out and they call to
Yeah.
the frogs. And sometimes they come and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So there is no harming of the frog. The frog is voluntarily coming to these tribes.
Now, I will say, just like with all of these medicines, there are people that try to monetize them.
Sure.
And unfortunately, there are people in the jungle that use this in a way that isn't beneficial to the frogs, that are taking them, that are doing what's called milking them. That's not, Jason gets our medicine from the Kokomo tribe. They're outside of Iquitos, and we're the only school that they will give their medicine to. So most Kambo schools and organizations, they're getting their medicine from a tribe that is deeply connected to the spirit of this frog.
Yeah.
And they go out at night and they call to these frogs and they like wait for the frogs to call back. And then my understanding is they send somebody up a tree, they get the frog, they bring the frog back to camp, and then they start like tickling it with a stick
Yeah.
and it starts making the secretion. So this secretion has all these like antimicrobial and antiviral properties in it. Like you'll see the frogs will bathe themselves with their own secretions,
Oh,
like the same way
wow.
that like cats will.
Hmm.
That's why they have no natural predators in the jungle. Because if a predator was to come at them and orally ingest the secretion, like that would kill them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they go and they tickle the frog and they get the secretion and then they transfer the secretion onto this little bamboo stick and they let it dry.
Wild.
And
That's crazy.
yeah,
Is it only active when wet? Do you know?
it has to be like the medicine itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So
That's
it's like
so
the way that
interesting.
we serve the medicine is it's dried on the stick.
Yeah.
And then I will drop water on it and take a knife and scrape it into little points. Yeah.
That's
So
fascinating.
it's like real viscous. Like
However,
sticky.
I have so much respect for this medicine and a little bit of fear, like
Yeah.
healthy
Healthy
fear.
fear.
Like the sticks that I have, there's always a spot on it that you can touch that does not have medicine on it. So like even though it's dry, like I would never like touch the medicine and then like
Accidentally.
touch
We don't want the facilitator going down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you gone and seen this?
I'm going in November.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super
that's going to bring a whole new
excited.
connection to it.
I know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very, very excited. Yeah, I leave November 8th and we'll head into Iquitos and
Awesome.
So you're going to see that sit with or
we're
be
not
with that tribe?
we're not going to sit, but
Okay.
yeah, we're going to go and be with the tribe. And Jason has done a lot for
Beautiful.
their community. They're helping like build a retreat center out there. And
Mhm.
but yeah, we're going to connect with the tribe. We're going to hopefully see how the medicine is collected if the
Cool.
frogs want to come. And
Oh, that's
Very
awesome.
cool.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
That does bring another question, because from just like an ethical perspective around all these medicines or all ancient tribal practices, there's, like you said, people will try to monetize it. And I know I've heard things about like sage and how it's impacted Native American tribes and all these other implications.
Yeah.
But you said something to me when we were sitting, and I think Laura asked you this, but tell me what you said about the tribe people.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people want to look at whether it is ayahuasca or cacao or Kambo or wachuma. As Westerners serving these medicines, people will have opinions about this being like cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's cultural appreciation. These tribes people know the power of these medicines to lift the spirits, to clear out the heavier energies, to reset the body, to reset the mind, to reset the heart, and elevate our consciousness, and hopefully in a way that helps us be kinder to each other, you know, and makes the world a better place, as cheesy as it sounds. So I know the shamans I sit with and the people that I have received medicine from, they have blessings from wisdom keepers and elders and are happy that this medicine is being shared in this way.
Yeah. Yeah. I have chills head to toe. I feel like after experiencing it, it's so clear to me that this is at least one avenue. I'm sure there's tons of avenues out there, but it is raising human consciousness, like having access to these things, even just hearing stories about them, even if you're not a participant.
Absolutely.
Overall, it is raising, in its own way, it's saving the world, I think.
Right. It's interesting because I started in like the wellness world as a massage therapist 10 years ago. I had gone to college and got a bachelor's in psychology, always thought I would be a therapist. That path didn't end up working out, but I was in a training for hypnotherapy and breath work. And shortly after I went to school for massage therapy, because I was starting to really understand the way that trauma lives in the body. And I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be a body worker. I want to help people like release these things that they're holding on to. And I used to say, I'm going to change the world one massage at a time. Because the better you feel in your body, then the kinder you are to somebody else. And it's like this butterfly effect that we talked about earlier. It's you feel better in your body and then you smile at somebody at the grocery store and maybe they go home and they're like nicer to their spouse and nicer to their kids. And then the kids go to school the next day and like they make somebody else's day better. It's just, we never know who we can affect by just simply being in a better mood and being in our heart. And so whether it's body work, breath work, exercise, Kambo, ayahuasca, whatever the modality is that gets you there, that gets you to a place of feeling better, I think we all benefit from that.
Yeah. That's the ripple effect we talk about all the time. The only way to love others is to love yourself.
That's it.
And
Or
it
the
has
way
to
to
start
heal.
there. Or the way to heal others is to heal
It's
yourself.
just heal yourself.
The journey has to begin there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't control anybody else's journeys, but you can make small ripple impacts throughout your own journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It feels, at least for a while, to me, it almost felt like self-indulgent to do all this work on yourself. Like you're meditating and you're journaling and you're spending so much time on self.
Yeah.
It feels like I need to be doing more outside, but it's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Then all
That's
of
a
your
societal
interactions.
construct.
It's a societal construct. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, for all people, but I think especially women get that message that like,
Yeah.
if you're not doing for other people,
Yeah.
it's a disservice in some
Especially
way.
if you're in a religion.
Yeah.
Coming from somebody that was in a religion.
Yeah. It's so good. Just like that work on yourself is never wasted time.
Yeah. I kind of joke with people that I'm a self-care junkie. I need like an hour and a half to 2 hours by myself in the morning to journal, to meditate, to drink my cacao, usually go get in some kind of movement practice. Once a week, I'm getting acupuncture and cupping. I have a coach and a mentor that I work with. Like, I couldn't do the work that I do if I didn't take care of myself. And that's where it all starts. And I'm so passionate about this work because it's worked for me. And I'm not saying that I'm perfectly healed. That's not even my goal, right? I don't think that's something that exists. And I still screw up and I still have triggers because I'm here to be human. I'm not here to be perfect, but I'll tell you what, I'm doing a hell of a lot better now with these medicines that I've worked with and all these different self-care practices and these incredible healers that I've worked with than I ever would have been on my own. I was on a path that would have been pretty destructive and probably would have killed me in one way or another. And I'm out of it.
Instead you're healing the world.
I'm trying.
Yeah. During our session, you said healer, and then you're like, I really don't like that term. I prefer
I
conduit of healing, which is beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But you do have to care for yourself when you're doing that work.
You do have to care for yourself sometimes more. And that's the thing is because it's so much about keeping my energy clear.
Yes.
I want to be a clear vessel. Like I do not want to project my shit onto anybody else. And I have canceled sessions for people before. If I know I'm like deep in my shit, I won't work on somebody. It's like coming from a place of integrity. And the thing is too, yes, like I am physically facilitating the medicine of Kambo or guiding people in coaching or doing body work. But all I'm really doing is helping you remember the truth of who you are. I'm reconnecting you back to yourself. Kambo's reconnecting you back to yourself. Kambo's resetting your body and your mind. And spirit will guide me to sing or blow some mapacho or burn some palo santo. But these are all mechanisms to recognize that you are your greatest healer. We're all our own medicine.
It's all within.
It's all within.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing about all of these modalities, which I think is where everyone needs to be careful with different practitioners or facilitators, is the power is not with the medicine.
Absolutely.
The medicine is just a conduit to empower you from within.
Yeah.
And if that's not understood and you're using the modality as the tool,
right,
the entire experience is different. And we've talked to multiple people who have had different experiences, maybe even gone in assuming that the medicine was going to give.
Oh, I did. When I first started, I was like, I'm going to go work with psilocybin once and that's going to fix everything.
Sure.
And that didn't. And then I was like, I just got to go drink ayahuasca for one weekend and I'm going to be golden. My PTSD is going to be gone. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
None of this stuff is a panacea. And people have asked me, and I don't know if you get this question ever about breath work, but people will say, if this works so well, then why do you keep coming back to it?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I say, because life keeps happening. And there's just always more layers. I'm 37 years old. Like I've been traumatized for lifetimes in different ways.
And who knows what happened in the past.
Right, exactly.
Past
In past lives, right? And so we're all working through these different layers. So each time we do a breathwork practice or sit with medicine, it's uncovering another layer.
There's a calling to that too. It's hard to describe as a conduit of healing. I love that. Even if you feel like you've uncovered everything, there's more to uncover.
Absolutely.
And it will always be that way. Not only because we're evolving, but who knows what's happened in the past.
Right.
And you can't control anybody else around you.
Right.
So you may be all perfect and empowered, and then somebody's going to come in and pop that bubble.
Yeah, that's usually how it works.
Yeah. There is no end to the healing journey.
No.
Who knows what happens when we're done in this vessel, even. Same with all types of healing, regardless of it's plant medicine or even working out. You don't just get fit and stop.
No. And that's the other thing that I tell people is you don't eat one healthy meal or go to the gym once. Like you keep going.
That's part of being human.
It's part of being human.
Yeah. We say that with Rudy all the time too. People would be like, it's not a one and done.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not how this
Nothing
works.
ever is.
I heard in another podcast somebody talking about she administers psilocybin.
Uh-huh.
It sounds similar to like the experience that you had. And she talks about how it doesn't have to be hard.
It doesn't have to be hard.
And if it is, she is of the belief that you're disassociating the integrity of the medicine
Oh, interesting.
in a disrespectful way.
Mm-hmm.
That if a practitioner or facilitator is pushing you to the discomfort,
Right.
or saying that the only way to heal is to go through hard,
go find somebody else to work with.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I was reflecting this morning on one of my psilocybin journeys in Mexico, and my intention going in was to face my deepest fear.
Mm.
And I thought
fun.
that it's fun. And I was like, great. I'm like, it was the third one. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm ready. Let's go there. And maybe like an hour or so after I drink the tea, I'm just like laughing and I'm elated. And I go up to the shaman and I was like, I don't think that this is working. And I'm clearly tripping. And she was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I said, I asked to work through my deepest fear and I'm just so happy. And she was like, is there something wrong with that? And it clicked in that moment. I was like, oh, my deepest fear isn't being alone or being abandoned. My deepest fear is joy. And
I have chills.
Yeah.
and it's something that I continue to work with. It's something that I work with my mentors with. Like, there's a part of many of us, I think, that are actually truly afraid to be happy.
Yeah.
And we are afraid to let things be easy. We live in a society that says, do more, be more, have more, and that's going to be the thing that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And we know that that's not the way.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be so hard. We look at these indigenous cultures. I've seen these people that live in the jungle and in the mountains, and they have next to nothing, and they're the happiest people. So we just have to reconnect to joy, and it doesn't have to be so hard. And I was doing a journaling practice the other day, and something else that came up that it feels really relevant to share is that while all this healing work is super important, sometimes I think it's really a distraction from joy.
100%. Yeah.
It's distracting us from actually taking the things that we're learning along our healing path and living them in our life. My teacher, one of my teacher always says, you've done the work, now go live your medicine.
100%. There's a balance too, in that I can only speak from like the chronic illness side of things, but one, you have to reconstruct your identity.
Yes.
Because the lack of joy also becomes part of your identity.
Absolutely.
So you're not finding necessarily happiness in it, but it's your safe space.
You're comfortable there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then living in chronic illness as you heal, there is this addictive mentality where like some would call it biohacking, or you're constantly trying to fix.
Totally.
And you're never satisfied with where you're currently at.
Oh, yeah.
That has happened with me with breath work, where there is this level of empowerment where I feel like everything is within. My answers are within, the power is within. These modalities are only helping me tap into that. But if I get too addicted or too hyper focused on it, or the medicine becomes part of my identity, then it completely loses its power.
Absolutely.
It may still have the power in its own way because it's the medicine, whether it be breath work, Kambo, Ayahuasca, whatever, but the effects all of a sudden disappear because you're holding so tightly onto the modality instead of completely letting that go and not allowing it to be part of your identity.
Absolutely.
Countless clients that we have.
Yeah.
That is the biggest hurdle inside of the healing journey.
Is for them to let go of the identity of who they are as a sick person.
Not only that, but then release the power that they've given to the modality.
Oh, absolutely. A big part of my healing journey was healing a chronic eating disorder. And it showed up in a lot of different ways. I went from restricting to binging to getting all of these tests done to figure out what was going on with my body, and then becoming so orthorexic. And then I started doing CrossFit, and then it was like I was measuring everything and I had to eat at certain times. And it just like all of these things from the outside, it looked like I was being healthy. And I wasn't. I was addicted to quote unquote fixing myself. And I think so much of all of this work that y'all are doing and that I do is a big piece of it, is to remind people that you're not fixing anything.
Right.
Because you are not broken.
There's no flaw.
You are whole. You are complete as you are. There are just maybe some mechanisms in your body that need to be tweaked. but you don't have to hold on to that. And once we can really start to tap in and listen to the wisdom of our bodies, and of course, every once in a while, go on a supplement protocol and do these different like healing regimens for a period of time.
Yeah.
And then let it go, listen to your body.
Yep.
One of the things that Jason says with Kambo is there's not really like a pre-Kambo diet other than to not drink alcohol the night before. And we recommend like staying away from heavier foods the night before. But he says you don't need to do that because your body will reset and Kambo will tell you how you need to eat.
Yeah.
Kambo will tell you what you need to do. Kambo will tell you how to start living your days. But so much of it, it's like I mentioned earlier, all of these things are ways to get more in touch with yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's you come to know what foods you need, what kind of movement you need, when you need these certain things, when you need certain supplements, when you need a cold plunge, when you need a sauna. It doesn't have to be like, I just do all of the things every day and then this is just my identity, you know?
It instills fear.
Absolutely.
And I think it stems from fear. So
it does.
It's just this snowball
Yeah.
of fear. And you get tighter and tighter in your clinching and you're trying to control more and more. Control is only fear.
Absolutely.
But then you start counting macros from your weights to literally everything. And then when you're chronically ill, it feels like it's the only thing you can control because everything else is out of control inside of you. What has to be identified is that the tighter you clench, the worse it's going to get. Always. Even with the modalities.
Absolutely.
Because my breathwork sessions, holy shit. If I just went into it loose, I go places. I'll freaking be in another universe. But when I come in and knowing I'm clenched, it's
the
not
same,
fun.
and it's the same with medicine too. And I have a practice that I do every day called morning pages, and it is so very revealing. And when I was writing the other day, I was thinking about these things in my life I've been trying to call in, and how much I like want to have control over them. And there's a song I often sing in my ceremonies that says, I release control. I surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. And in thinking about control, I was like, oh, the only thing we have control over and should control is our mind. This is it. Our mind is so powerful. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are, why we are the way that we are, like even something as simple as constantly saying out loud to somebody else, oh, I feel so tired today, or oh, I feel so overwhelmed. And it's not to be in a place of bypassing or ignoring how we're feeling, but be really mindful of the mind. We control and create our reality. It's a fact that I know, and it's still something that I have to work with. And so I think it's like we can recognize that, like, that we are sick or that we are struggling. But if we start to tell ourselves, I am healing, I am whole, it is safe to be in my body, like I'm worthy of abundance. It's all of these different things that we tap into, and it's can't control shit else in the world. And yet we just let our minds like run loose all the time with all of this shit and all of these stories that just block us from living the life that we really want to live for ourselves.
Yeah, the mind is so powerful, especially when we talk about physical healing in relation to Rudy and the work that we do there. It is hard to explain to people how important it is to start with belief. If there is even just like a shred of maybe this could work, like we can work with that. But if you're coming to anything, I don't care if it's surgery, I don't care what it is that you're getting to quote fix your body. If you don't believe that it's working, it's not working. I think placebo is like, it's absurd. It's 60% in some studies. So the mind is so powerful. And if that's all you can do, if that's all you can financially afford, start there. Like start with a practice that is like havening is a beautiful technique that can get your brain in like the delta kind of calming state, and work with those, and then give yourself some mantras like I am
Y'all just
safe.
DM me for the meditation. I did this. I got really into meditation and mindfulness period. Over time, I started to build out this, I don't know, guided meditation that I would do on myself. And it had mantras, and it had a series of thankfulness and gratitude. It had a series of manifestation. Then it had an energy cleanse to it. I didn't know anything about mindfulness at this point. None. It just was intuitively coming to me. What I would do is I was so sick. And inside my mantras, I would say, I'm healed. My body's healed. I'm back to full health. I would say it over and over. And I was sick as a dog. Then I would say it over and over. And I started to believe it. Imagine that. And my healing skyrocketed once the mantras were put into play because I was releasing. I was attaching myself to the identity of the manifestation instead of sitting in the identity that was comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting in your current reality, you started sitting in your future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question about your connection to source or whatever you choose to call it. You came in, I felt it immediately. I feel energy. It's just, I have that. I saw shadows on your third eye. Where in your journey did you start to feel that deeper connection to source?
I think it was something that I always felt in some way, shape, or form. I lost my dad when I was 13 in a pretty tragic accident. And I became a full-blown atheist at that point. I was like, I do not believe in anything anymore. And I went for a Reiki session about a year later. So I was like 14 at the time. And I was in some alternate universe. Source, I get emotional talking about it, but Source put me in an empty Toys R Us.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. And I walked down this aisle and I saw my dad.
Whoa.
Ran to him and I hugged him and we played in these aisles of Toys R Us. And that was when I started coming back in.
Wow.
And that was when I started really being able to feel that. Now it was 14. And so then I spent the rest of my teenage years and deep into my 20s being an addict in many different ways.
Sure.
But I started my journey with therapy when I was 26, hypnotherapy and breath work. And I was doing a lot of past life regression work. And so that's where that started to tap in. And then I started working on people's physical bodies and just the messages that would come through, even still sometimes. I'm I don't even know. I'm connected, but I don't know how or why this works the way that it does. But it just keeps evolving as I walk along the path, and the medicine work has definitely opened up a lot of it. And it's this recognition too, as woo as it sounds or whatever, but I believe that we're the same as source.
I agree.
So disconnection from ourselves is disconnection from source. And the more that we're connected with ourselves, the more that we're connected with source. And yes, I do believe in angels and guides and spirits. And I have all these beautiful plant allies that I get to work with and ethereal beings, but they're all a piece of the whole. And that all exists within all of us too.
It's like the circle card that I pulled. Yeah. We're all part of the same thing here somehow. It doesn't always make sense in the 3D, but I love, so you were saying your teens and 20s, spent a lot of that time as an addict. And we've talked briefly before we started recording about how no time is wasted. And I think that's something that I'm learning a lot about.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because we had some really cool conversations during our inoculation.
Yeah. As many people have, I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and the type of traumas that I went through, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess, I medicated with mostly alcohol, drugs, unhealthy relationships. I think for so long, I just wanted to get away from the pain. I did not know how to do with it. And to be very honest, I lived in this victim mentality of there's this horrible thing that happened to me and I'm so fucked up because this happened to me. And I lived there for a really long time. And there were a couple big moments in my life in my later 20s and early 30s where I was I can't keep living like this.
Yeah.
I'm miserable. All of my relationships fail. I'm not happy with the way that I'm showing up. And so now I look at all of these things as such gifts because had these tragedies not happened in the way they did, had I not endured the trauma that I did, I would never would have ended up working with plant medicine. And I truly believe that I am on my dharmic path now where every single thing that has happened and continues to happen, it leads me deeper to love. And it leads me deeper into being of service. And in my meditations and connection with my spirit guides and team, the thing that I am shown over and over again is we are going to continue to present you with things that are going to take you to your depths and that are going to feel like it's going to kill you. And this is the rise of the phoenix. It's the death and the rebirth cycle. And the work that I know I am here to do on this planet is to meet people in their depths and to help people overcome shame and judgment. I have clients that come to me and they talk about suicidal ideation and they've never talked about that with anybody else before. I've lived most of my life with suicidal ideation,
Yeah.
even after working with plant medicine. And I can speak about it so freely now because I don't have shame around it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Amen.
doesn't mean that the medicine isn't
Mhm.
working. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
I'm not doing my work. It means that there is something deeper within me that I am continuing to heal, and that every place that I am willing to go within with myself, that's medicine for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people I've been able to help by being honest about my journey and
Yeah.
like where I'm at and what has
Yeah.
happened and what I still struggle with. Cause they're
Yep.
like, oh my God, do you do all this healing and medicine work? Like you can't possibly. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just as human as
Yeah.
you are. And yeah, of course I have a deep prayer that that less and less I will have to experience those like really deep
Mhm.
suffering moments. But as I was listening to your last podcast, we're talking about suffering, this whole like, how much of our suffering do we create on our
Yeah.
own?
Yeah.
Like 85%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I recognize that within myself too. And it's, I have to laugh at myself because sometimes it's almost like, am I just giving myself like more shit to heal from
Yeah.
because I'm like avoiding building my website?
Totally.
Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. These conversations are ones that I just want to be having literally every day. It's so good.
Same.
One thing that came up in my breathwork session yesterday, I had this like huge release, like sobbed, bawled my eyes out. I have this feeling, and I imagine probably a lot of people do, and it's almost funny. Like I'm only 31, but I have this feeling often where I'm like, I'm so behind. Like I'm so behind,
Yeah.
like professionally, whatever, financially, just in life. I
Yeah.
feel so behind. And I like sobbed and immediately started just laughing and cracking up because I'm like, you funny little,
Yeah.
fickle little being. Like it's when we're comparing to other lifetimes, other
Other
timelines.
timelines, yeah.
Exactly. So what that so and so is living in their gifts and their power, and their time looks completely different, and that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
When we are looking outside for our answers, or if that's our measuring stick, like
Right.
that's a fucked up measuring stick.
It is.
The truth of it. I feel like everything that we say is always like pointing back to within, but that's
is.
just the truth. If
Yeah.
I'm measuring myself against my internal knowing, my intuition, my higher self, like that's when I'm more grounded and knowing that I'm not behind. I'm exactly on time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's something that like I continue to have to overcome and
Yeah.
check myself on all the time. It's so much of the way that I show up in my what I feel is my most authentic self is to be really honest, like I was just saying about I still struggle with these things too.
Yeah.
Like I am human, and my capacity to hold these things also
Yeah.
continues to grow. I don't get lost in it in the way that I used to, but of course it still comes up. There are areas where I feel farther behind, and
Sure.
and I have to remind myself all the time, like I'm right on time for me.
Yeah.
I was in this retreat in Oregon where I had this breathwork experience that felt like a full blown ayahuasca ceremony. I don't know what was happening,
Yeah.
but shit was moving and it
Yeah.
was wild. And the card I had pulled was my ego is in service to my soul, and I trust in the divine timing of my life.
Wow.
And that's what I have to come back to
Yeah.
time and time again, because the ego will try to run the show and
Yep.
say, I need to do more. I
Yeah.
need to be more. I have to catch up. I'm this age. Like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
It comes back to what you're saying about fearing joy and fearing happiness too, because I think especially like in Western culture, it's okay, so we're on this hamster wheel, we're running, chasing who knows what the fuck. And so what happens if we jump off the hamster wheel and we're not chasing anymore? It's like we don't even know, we can't conceptualize what that would feel like.
Right. And that's where I do think it's a lot of nervous system work. And
Yeah.
I have dear friends that are somatic experiencing practitioners and breathwork practitioners. I am trauma informed and know how the nervous system works, but that's
Yeah.
not my full wheelhouse. And I do recommend that people go work with somebody that knows how to work with the nervous system, because of course it's going to be dysregulating when we've been acting in this like active chaos state our whole
Yeah.
life. And then we just want to jump off and try to change it and say, I'm just not going to do that anymore.
Right.
Like, God, I wish it was that easy, you
Right.
know? But so we need a lot of nervous system regulation work and a lot of co-regulation with other people and time in nature and just slowing the fuck down. Like I've decided this is slow down September. Like
I love it.
7 planets in retrograde. I'm in no fucking hurry. Like
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And that's another realization I had come to over the weekend is it's all going to get done in the time that it's meant to get done.
Yeah.
Time expands to meet my needs. Like I am in no hurry. It's going to happen when it needs to happen. It's going to happen who it's meant to happen with. Like we don't have to force
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the journey to connecting to whatever you choose to call that source, divine, God, whatever. If we cold turkeyed anything and just immediately was on the other side, we wouldn't connect.
We wouldn't be ready
No.
for
Well,
it.
it would be way too much.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So that process, whatever that
Yeah.
looks like in between, like you deciding to make change to the change
Yeah.
actually happening,
Yeah.
is the beauty.
And that's the thing, is that it's a lot of really small and gentle steps.
Yeah.
That's why I tell my clients, we're not going to go in and revamp your entire life. I love your like motivation to change, but
Yeah.
people want to approach these things with these words like motivation and discipline. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
devotion,
Yeah.
dedication,
Yeah.
commitment. Those are healthier things to work with. Reverence,
Yeah.
yes. And everything we do being an act of devotion and taking it one step at a time.
Yeah.
So like I'll tell people, like, start with one devotional practice to give to yourself every day for 30 days. And I
Yeah.
will tell people, I don't care if it's a writing practice, I don't care if it's meditation, whatever it is, but don't try to go in and just change everything at once, because what happens so often is when we can't keep that up, we feel like we fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just quit everything.
100%.
You know, but if we take it slowly, then we can build healthier habits over time.
Yep. We tell people, try one thing.
Try one
Literally
thing.
the smallest shit possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
And succeed.
And succeed.
And if you don't like it, don't keep doing it.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's a million different things you can choose.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people all the time, just because these practices work for me, don't mean that they're going to work for you. Like the things that I know to be true for all of us, we all need to drink more water.
Yeah.
I'm on a big water kick right now. I'm like, we should only be drinking spring water and it should only come out of glass. But that's for another episode. Getting movement and spending time in nature and spending time with people that we love.
Yep.
I think that we can all benefit from those things. And the rest is the business that I've started is cultivation of healing. And I named it that because I really do believe it's about this cultivation of practices that help us connect to ourselves.
Yeah.
And live a life that's rooted in joy. And living a life that's rooted in joy does not mean that there isn't pain, but it does mean that we grow in our capacity to hold it. And the cultivation of those practices is just going to look so different for all of us.
Yeah.
And it's going to look different in different seasons.
Yeah. It's kind of the beauty of it.
I know.
That bio-individuality is what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I am so thankful that we all have had different healing journeys.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be having this conversation if I already knew. So that uniqueness is what is powerful when you're connecting to source, when you're connecting to yourself. It gives you that uniqueness that everyone craves in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It also, I mean, I'm just thinking back to what you were saying about like your history with eating disorders and how for one person, eating what you were eating may have been their perfect medicine. For you, it was not.
Right.
For you, it was not. So that's why it's so important, regardless of if you're woo-woo, if you're spiritual, I don't care. Knowing yourself and tapping into intuition, you need that to know what is right for you.
Yeah. And at least for me, like I wouldn't have been able to get there without people to help me along the way and without the medicines too. And even in the medicine space, there's a lot of comparison that happens. And with all of these medicines, it's a unique relationship. You know, the best relationships are built on a foundation of trust, communication, patience. That's the way that we have to be with these medicines and understand how they work with us and let them be a guide and a teacher back home to ourselves.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's go.
Good. We could probably go for hours.
Yeah.
I have one random one.
Yeah.
Why Columbus?
Man, I ask Spirit that question all the fucking time.
Because when Erin found you, we've been talking about Kambo for a minute. Erin had looked multiple places around Ohio, didn't find anything. We found you through somebody else. That isn't even technically our friend. We just like met once. Then Erin was giving me your resume a little bit, and I was like, why is she here? This seems slightly overqualified for Columbus, Ohio.
Honestly, I appreciate that. One, I'm just working on receiving things. So thank you very much. I just moved back to Columbus a year ago. It was a year, September 1st. This is the longest I've ever lived anywhere since before COVID. I'm typically out of places anywhere in between 4 to 8 months.
Wow.
This is the third time I have moved back to
Okay.
Columbus. So in the last 6 years, I've been living all over. It was coming up on 2 years ago, I was getting ready to move to Peru, and I was like, I'm moving and I am not coming back.
Yeah.
And very long story short, I was supposed to go and something happened that delayed my trip, and I ended up going later. And I was there for like 2 weeks, and I was like, I don't want to live here. Like, I
Yeah.
just can't do this. And
Mhm.
it was in the mountains. I wasn't like
Sure.
deep in the jungle, and I wasn't going for any like specific medicine work. I was just going because I felt like that was where I needed to live.
Mm.
I came back and I didn't really know what I was going to do. My family's from Northeast Ohio.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I'm going to move up to Lakewood. That's where I was born. And I don't know, there seems to be like a cool community there. And I met some like really wonderful people, but I couldn't like drop in. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't find anywhere I wanted to work. I didn't really know how to build my own clientele with body work. There was somebody that I knew that was looking for a massage therapist at their business, and
Mm.
I was dating somebody down here. And so I moved for work and a relationship, and all of those things fell apart
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
shortly after moving.
Funny how that happens.
You know, I feel like spirit pulled this bait and switch on
Yeah.
me, where it was like the reasons that you think you're supposed to be here aren't actually the reasons
Wow.
that you are. And those relationships dissolved.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I decided to stay, which is really different for me. Like, usually, like, I would have left
Yeah.
again
Mhm.
already.
Yeah.
But I've met such wonderful people. And when I, especially after I decided to do combo training, because I will ask Vera often, am I allowed to leave?
Mm.
And I just keep getting a no. Like, I don't put myself on a pedestal. I don't think I am better than anybody else. And I know that the work that I facilitate is
Yeah.
powerful. I am confident in what
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that have shown up that have been able to receive combo and
Mm.
receive the other medicine that comes through simply from my own life experiences, you know, there's a reason that I'm here
Mhm.
right now.
Mm.
And it seems to be having a really positive effect in people's lives,
Here
which
you
is
are.
all I could ask for.
Yeah,
So
that's incredible.
here for now. I leave for Peru November 8th. I did buy a one-way ticket.
Fun. Did you?
I did, but I don't have any plans of
Yeah.
moving as
Sure.
of right now, like still keeping my place, and we'll likely just go and spend some time with medicine and spirit. There's a couple retreats that I'll be sitting in while I'm there, and then I'll come back, and I'm really excited to see the way that my work will unfold
Yeah.
after this
That's
next
wild.
initiatory process.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you know astrocartography?
Yes.
Do you have a line here?
I don't know. I keep meaning to look.
Mm.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah, I need to.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Columbus has definitely been. It's felt like Spirit said you must move here because we were just under immense stress and pressure in Nashville with you being sick.
I felt the pull. It was
Yeah.
weird. We were building a house in Nashville. We had
Wow.
bought land. The plans were done. We were about to break ground. I got really sick. We were living at Erin's parents' lake house because we had already sold our house in preparation to build the house. And then Columbus kept coming up in my brain.
Mm.
I was meditating, but I wasn't connected to source like I am now. I just went to her and I was like, this is going to sound batshit crazy. But what does Columbus sound to you? Like,
I was
to
like,
you?
hell no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's been very much a rebuilding
Yeah.
phase. Like, stripped us of anything. We had no community here, still have very little. I don't know. I think it was just necessary to really quiet.
The right season.
Yeah. Quiet and heal.
And when we talk to people about Columbus, that's what they say about it a lot of times. It's like the exact season that they needed.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what Columbus is meant to be for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Totally.
We ask all of our guests, which if you've listened, you may have heard, but I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to
Yeah. I
prep.
don't remember.
Okay,
So
great. What is your freedom?
I don't remember you asking that question.
Or what is freedom to you?
What is free? Yeah. What does
What freedom look like to you?
What does freedom look like to me? I think that freedom to me really comes down to a liberation of my own suffering.
Hmm.
I had written something a while back that says, I'm no longer willing to participate in my own suffering. And I have to
Wow.
check myself on that often. But I think true freedom for me, it's not about where I live or the amount of money that I have or my ability to travel or any of those things. It's about feeling free from the limiting constructs that I've built in my mind.
Hmm.
And to live more from my heart.
Yeah.
Know that I'm a love and light being.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it. Everyone could take that and find
Mm.
some freedom,
Yeah.
at least a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can people find you?
So people can find me on Instagram.
Love it.
You can find me at Anastasia Rising, as I am currently working to build the website and build my Instagram business page. But they can also find me there. It's at cultivation.of.healing.
Cool.
Yep.
Love it. We'll link that stuff in the description too.
Yep.
Yeah. And if people have questions about Kambo, they can
Mhm.
send me direct messages on there. We can link my email in the show notes too, and always do a quick consultation, talk about Kambo. And like I said, I also offer body work. So
Mhm.
it's a lot different than what your typical body work session looks like. And then do work with microdosing, psilocybin protocols, and general life guidance, transformational work.
love
And
it.
you can work with me in person until November 8th. And then it might be 1 to 4 months
Dot,
before
dot,
I'm
dot.
back.
Tap in, y'all.
I love it.
Clock's a ticking.
So good. Also, I meant to say this earlier, but in my breathwork session yesterday, I was having lots of visions of like community building. I'm like, while we're here, I don't know, however long we're here, but I have lots of visions of hosting things here.
Yeah,
So
me
like,
too.
let's do it.
It's on my radar.
Okay,
Cacao, sound
Yes.
healing, breath
Yeah.
work, meditation.
You're like the perfect conduit of
Let's-
healing.
oh, thank
so
you.
I would love
Let's
to
do all the
host and
things.
cook, and
Yeah.
you do your deal. And
we
it'd
work
be-
our
I
magic
know.
together.
Yep.
Yes, we weave
We'll
the
feed
magic.
you and then you can purge it.
Yeah.
Great.
I'll think through that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being
thank
here,
you guys
for
so
sharing
much.
your
Thank you
heart.
for
Incredible.
Thank you. Thanks for popping my podcast.
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah,
Such
you were
an
great.
honor.
Wouldn't
yeah.
have known.
Yeah, great.
Crushed it. You're an angel. Thanks
You
for being
are.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yet again, another Earth Angel.
I know
Aw, thanks.
that's the prerequisite for being on Pickle Lane podcast. You
Love
must
it.
be an Earth Angel.
Unintentionally,
I know.
but they keep coming. Yep.
You're calling them in.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Well, y'all, thanks for listening. We love you guys.
Love you.
Thank
Stay
you.
open.
Bye.
Bye.